Let's head to the battlefield. Mobile suit team, begin to sortie. Time to lock and load. Begin the mission.
Hello everyone, this is Ninja Guy _12 here, bringing you a match in the Gundam GP02 Beam Bazooka version, or the raid type. Before we continue, if you guys want to know the colors that I have used, which is my kind of Gundam Kimaris Vidar colors from Iron-Blooded Orphans. If you guys want to know the colors so that you guys can use it yourself, you can ask me what they are in the comment section down below, or my Discord server. Link to that's in the description. And if you want to make any GB02 request videos this month, you can also ask me on my Discord server. Now, the GP02 Beam Bazooka is a 550 raid at level 1. It goes up to level 3 at 650. I'm using the level 1, but I do have the level 3, and actually, the reason why I recorded this match is because not only that I did really well, this is like my first time actually using this thing in space. I mostly use it on the ground. I don't ever take it out for space combat much, like ever, but this was my first time, and I did surprisingly well. I got, I think, 1 death. I died once this entire match, I'm pretty sure. So I was just wrecking people with this thing somehow. Though, to be fair, this thing technically has space specialization for some reason. I don't understand. Whatever. So the weapons this thing has doesn't really have much, so we can talk about those briefly. Of course, its main attraction is the Beam Bazooka, because obviously they didn't want to actually give this thing a nuke. Because if they did, well then this thing would probably the most broken thing in the game, because like you can't exactly avoid a nuke. You probably die instantly the moment that thing went anywhere near you. So the Beam Bazooka is quite nice, though I still have one problem with it, is the fact that it kinda has a long wait time between shots. Whether fully charged or uncharged, you still have to wait a bit before you can actually shoot again, which that is really annoying in a lot of situations for me personally. So I'm hoping they'll maybe change that eventually. They did do a few buffs to this thing before, but I still think it could use a buff or two to be fully perfect. Its melee consists of high output beam saber, because technically in the anime, which was 0083 Stardust Memory, which is still a relatively good series. I would still rather watch Thunderbolt or 8th MS Team, but 0083 Stardust Memory is not a bad series at all. Definitely worth watching for sure, especially if you just like, you know, a kind of more realistic battles, I guess, kind of like 8th MS Team, and just like the whole story of basically how the Titans are formed. So if you liked Titans and want to know how they were formed to begin with, 0083 is right there. But yeah, the high output beam saber, technically speaking, it could be a beam saber, or it could also increase its length. Get it? It doesn't have to have a small beam saber. It could have a big one too, if it gets hard. So technically it should be able to do both, but you only have just the large beam saber. And it does do quite a bit of damage. The downswing is quite long. Not in terms of like the time, it's just the distance you travel when you do it. So yeah, kind of have to take care and aim a bit when you do that, but otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much how that goes. And its final weapon is the head-mounted Vulcans, which basically would form the basis, or basically anything from like the Zeta conflicts, basically like the Rick Diaz's Vulcans, the Gundam Mark II's Vulcan pod, the Barzan's Vulcan pod. Basically, it would help create those. So, yeah, these Vulcans are really good. Do not underestimate them. They are really good. In terms of the design, I really love the GP02. I really come around to liking this design a lot, because before, I didn't really think too much about this design. I was like, okay, it's kind of a beefy Gundam. So what? But I do like it a lot now. Ever since I rewatched 0083 recently, I really come to like this suit a lot. Though, not this version in particular. My favorite version is actually the MLRS version, the high-grade version, because that thing not only came with the multi-launch rocket system, but it also came with the beam bazooka. So, technically speaking, this thing shouldn't even have a beam bazooka. It should have the just atomic bazooka, while the MLRS has, you know, the multi-launch rocket system and the beam bazooka. So that would just make that thing completely broken, and this thing basically having no weapons, because you can't just give this thing a nuke. It'd be kinda stupid. So, yeah, I mean, there's, I think, a few variations of the GP02. Obviously, the MLRS is basically, like, the most well-known variation. Or, technically, it was, like, a planned variation, but because the GP02 was stolen, the MLRS equipment wasn't actually tested, I think. If I remember the lore of the GP02 MLRS, technically, it didn't actually exist, because by the time the MLRS equipment was ready, the thing was already stolen, so whoopsies. The other variation was the GP02 Rise 210, or whatever version of the GP02 from Build Divers / Build Divers Re-Rise. That variation, I'm not really the biggest fan of, especially the Build Divers Re-Rise version, because that thing has 5 GN drives, and it is just way too stupid in my opinion. I rather just stick to the good old trusty, just normal GP02. But that's just my opinion. But still, I don't really like that version. The fact that it has 5 GN drives is kind of stupid in my opinion. Though it's not really uncommon, because if you guys remember the Avatar, the mobile armor for the Alvaron from 007 Season 1, that thing had, like, I think, what, 8 GN drives for its mobile armor mode? So, it's not unheard of, but still, it's kind of stupid, in my opinion, but what can you say? It's Build Divers, they gotta do something crazy with a lot of these iconic Gundams that we have. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for this match, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and commentary, and I will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you all later.
Here's your rewards from this battle.